Archangel Michael conveys a critical message. The energy enveloping you is not merely being observed, it is being absorbed. There exists an individual who is fixated on your movements, your routine, and your success. This fixation is not rooted in admiration but rather cloaked in intrusion beneath a composed exterior. You may have sensed it, those unsettling moments when you feel scrutinized even in solitude, the subtle shift in the atmosphere, or the way your name lingers excessively on someone's lips. The divine has been monitoring the nature of his thoughts, revealing that they do not align with purity or innocence. There is a man nearby whose heart has become disproportionately invested in your journey, where mere curiosity has transitioned into obsession, obscuring his true intentions. He recognizes your brilliance, but instead of honoring it, he seeks to trap it. Exercise caution around an individual who seems to always be aware of your movements, yet remains secretive about how he has gathered such knowledge. He recalls your schedule without being informed and notices aspects of your life that only someone overly attentive would recognize. Type E meant to receive blessings. 333. Your spirit possesses an inherent strength that cannot be shattered, yet this does not preclude someone from attempting to undermine it from afar. He is drawing sustenance from your habits, your words, and your laughter. Each smile you share echoes in his mind, refusing to dissipate. His true nature remains concealed from others, leading them to perceive him as kind, helpful, or even harmless. However, the divine sees beyond the facade that man cannot perceive. Heaven is issuing a serious and urgent warning. Archangel Michael emphasizes that his presence aims to disrupt your divine alignment. When someone exhibits excessive attention disguised as interest yet leaves you feeling drained, recognize this as energy theft, not love. His intention is not just to know you better but to dominate your path. Should you feel spiritually depleted after interactions with him, take it as a warning from your soul. Your energy is attuned to deception, often before your conscious mind recognizes the danger. There is a reason your body instinctively tightens around him. Type E meant to receive blessings. 744. Recently you may have sensed an unsettling change around you, as if your peace had been disrupted. This disturbance signifies that his energy has begun to intertwine more deeply with yours. He may be mentally rehearsing conversations with you, envisioning a future that has not been blessed by divine permission. What concerns the divine is not merely his presence but the unwarranted claim he believes he has over your destiny. He assumes he merits access to your spirit simply because he has observed you for an extended period. However, mere observation does not equate to entitlement, nor does desire grant permission. His jealousy is cleverly masked beneath shallow flattery. His words may sound sweet but are ultimately hollow, akin to dusty glass. Each time you achieve growth he may feel slighted, even while feigning happiness for your successes. Archangel Michael asserts, God is instating barriers to prevent his influence from overstepping spiritual boundaries. If you find yourself instinctively distancing from him without clear reason, recognize this as divine protection. Do not resist this subtle pull, instead follow it. Type E meant to receive blessings. 112. You are not meant to serve as someone else's concealed project, nor should you exist in the shadows like a character in someone else's story. You are chosen, and no one can privately seize what God has publicly designated for you. His imagination is a labyrinth of what-ifs and fabricated dreams, placing you alongside him without your consent. He erroneously believes that the intensity of his thoughts warrants his intrusion, yet the divine disagrees. You are not paranoid. The discomfort you experience is genuine. The more you attempt to ignore it, the more firmly his spiritual grasp seeks to anchor into your aura. He observes your smile without ever considering the burdens it conceals. While he yearns for your light, he remains unprepared to safeguard your shadows. The divine views this as a transaction devoid of sacred intent. Type Amen to receive blessings. 991. He has meticulously taken notes, whether in a digital format or etched in his memory, on significant dates and transformative events in your life, akin to a collector hoarding stolen moments. However, God's message is clear: your timeline belongs solely to the divine. If you've shared aspects of your life with him casually, be aware that he regards them with far more gravity than you intended. He interprets each word as a seed of hope and every silence as treachery. His emotional equilibrium is precariously tilted toward obsession. Through subtle means he has sought to manipulate your comfort levels. He may voice his sentiments by saying he is just checking in, but in truth he is assessing control. God tells you your narrative must not be interrupted by someone rehearsing a role you never auditioned him for. This man does not wish to walk beside you, he desires to dictate your course from behind the scenes. Type Amen to receive blessings. 838. You may not even be aware of the duration he has been observing you. It could extend back years or even lifetimes. While the connection may feel familiar, it is not always sanctified simply because it is recognized. Some souls may follow you from previous existences, yet not all possess benign intentions. Some seek redemption, while others pursue vengeance. This man's motives skew towards control masquerading as intimacy. He may present you with gifts, assistance, or kindness, but these offerings invariably come with strings that remain unseen until they entangle your path. Be mindful of how you feel after receiving his gestures. If you wish to express further support, you have the opportunity to provide financial contributions of up to $20. Archangel Michael reassures you this is not about inciting fear, this is the dissemination of spiritual wisdom. You still have the opportunity to cut the invisible thread that he is weaving around you. Each time you dismiss your intuition, that thread becomes more substantial. Type Amen to receive blessing. 255. Recently there was a conversation where you sensed him testing your boundaries. He made a remark or asked a question that momentarily left you speechless. This was not a coincidence, it was a spiritual assessment. He sought to discover how deeply he could delve into your vulnerabilities. When your response did not align with his expectations, he retreated slightly, but not permanently. Heaven interprets this as his cue to reassess, not withdraw. Individuals like him do not always appear dangerous. Their calm demeanor can often be their most insidious trait. They induce doubt in your instincts while subtly steering your choices. You'll notice he may become upset if you don't respond promptly, or may grow overly attached to trivial interactions. These behaviors are warning signs, not mere quirks. Type Amen to receive blessing. 522. He does not intend to cause you physical harm, yet he is inflicting spiritual damage by infringing upon your energetic privacy, effectively trespassing on your spirit. This violation is something that the divine cannot tolerate. As a result, some of your relationships may be shifting lately. God is moving certain individuals out of your life, not as punishment but for your protection. This man is among those who need to be distanced before he ensnares you in a web of unseen strings. Do not feel pity for him. Sympathy is not a strategy. Instead, it opens the door for manipulation. Heaven advises that your empathy should not compromise your clarity. If he reacts negatively when you assert your boundaries, take that as your signal. His affection is not genuine, rather it is calculated. Strategy differs from sincerity. Type E Amen to receive blessing 664. You possess untapped potential, your path is meant for elevation, and someone looming in your periphery cannot follow you on that journey. God is not concerned about people observing you, but he is protective of their intentions. This man's gaze lacks inspiration, it is tainted by entitlement, and heaven refuses to acknowledge entitlement masked as interest. This situation is not about isolation, but about discernment. You are entitled to safeguard your spirit without the need for explanation. Silence becomes sacred when it preserves your light. Archangel Michael proclaims, "Angels are now more closely surrounding you than ever. They stand guard at your bedroom, your door and even your phone, protecting you from further psychic interference." Type E Amen to receive blessing 404. Tonight marks the beginning of a divine detachment. You might sense an emotional fog lifting. This is not a coincidence but rather God severing the ties that bind you. Some individuals observe out of admiration, while others do so to consume. This man has crossed over into the latter category, and you are in the process of being liberated. If he reaches out during this time, respond slowly. Allow heaven to complete its protective work before offering anyone new access. Detachment is the first step toward elevation, and there is nothing that requires explanation. God witnesses everything, and your protection is already underway. Do not reopen what heaven has sealed. Type E Amen to receive blessing 123. You were not brought into this world to fulfill someone else's fantasy. Your purpose is too significant for any individual to undermine without divine approval. His intentions do not equate to your destiny. God's justice may not always arrive with a thunderous declaration. Sometimes it manifests through silence, distance and protection that may initially feel isolating, but ultimately leads to your breakthrough. Do not grieve a connection forged without spiritual agreement. You are not losing a companion, you are shedding an oppressive surveillance that never respected your spirit. Archangel Michael assures the true nature of this man's energy will soon be revealed, not to the public but to you. Once you grasp the complete truth, you will not look back. Type Amen to receive blessing 999. The atmosphere is clarifying, the space surrounding you is regaining its purity. Anticipate more vivid dreams as heaven restores your clarity. This evening, light a candle and articulate your truth aloud. Release all hidden anxieties and grant God permission to protect you completely. This permission is the key that seals heaven's guardianship. You are cherished, you are safeguarded, and no obsession will ever transcend divine protection. Your boundaries are sacred, your energy is holy. He may observe you, but heaven sees deeper. He may desire you, but God ultimately decides, and that decision has already been made. You are untouchable. Type payments to receive blessing 00007. There are hidden elements in his digital presence, saved images, screenshots, or messages he revisits to sustain the illusion he has constructed. This is not love, it is a spiritual imitation, a false connection that thrives on your light. Heaven reveals this not to instill fear but to empower you. The adversary thrives in silence, and for too long this man has employed silence to scrutinize your actions. However, heaven has disrupted that silence with divine intervention. You will begin to notice unusual behavior from your technology, messages disappearing, notifications flashing and vanishing. Do not overlook these occurrences. They are signals from heaven disrupting any unauthorized energy connection. The angels are actively severing any invisible ties he attempted to bind to you through images, posts, or conversations. The hold that once overwhelmed you in his presence will gradually give way to a sense of peace. This is not a sign of weakness leaving you, it is divine protection making its entrance. To receive blessings, simply type Amen. His objective has always been to remain a part of your life by any means necessary, even resorting to pretense to fulfill your needs. However, the truth is that God perceives the deceit concealed beneath those smiles. Heaven recognizes the manipulation that may go unnoticed by even your closest friends. He has honed his skills in emotional manipulation, continuously testing your moods and reactions. While he offers compliments when you exhibit happiness, he becomes distant or indifferent when you shine too brightly without him. This is not genuine affection, rather it is an ego struggling against your autonomy. This individual fears your independence more than he cherishes your true essence. He observes you not as a source of support but as a means to gauge your progress without him, which is why your personal growth unsettles him. Even when he appears to take pride in your achievements, he harbors a spiritual void that he attempts to fill with your radiance. However, your light is not meant to fill someone else's emptiness, it is intended to guide others and not to ensnare you in the responsibilities of mending someone else's emotional deficiencies. To receive blessings, please type Amen. Archangel Michael declares your efforts to protect your soul are not acts of defiance, they are in fact alignments with the divine plan. The wrong individual may perceive your boundaries as rejection, but heaven recognizes them as wisdom. This person observes your peace, seeking to replicate it for himself, yet peace cannot be appropriated. God does not permit his children to serve as spectacles in someone else's fantasy. A name may soon recur in your dreams or spirit, serving as a warning. Remain vigilant when it surfaces, as it will confirm your suspicions. You are not required to confront him, rather take a step back. The angels are addressing the confrontation in the spiritual realm on your behalf. To receive blessings, kindly type Amen. Additionally, there is an older man aware of what the younger one is doing. He may appear discreet, but he is also observant. This individual could be a family member or a colleague. If he attempts to warn you subtly, do not dismiss his overtures. Heaven frequently communicates through various vessels. The concerns you've been hearing were not coincidental. You were chosen for a spiritual purpose that cannot become entangled with someone who lacks the necessary spiritual alignment. This man's presence is incompatible with divine intentions, which is why discomfort inevitably arises in his proximity. You aren't being urged to flee in fear but rather to walk in your strength. True power does not manifest in loudness but in the quiet refusal to have your life scrutinized without sacred consent. To receive blessings, please type Amen. The spiritual mirror is now turning and he will begin to sense exposure. His energy will shift towards confusion as heaven retracts the access he once exploited for comfort. He may develop erratic behavior, sending random messages to gain attention. Do not react with emotion, instead respond with silence and discernment. When heaven seeks to remove someone from your life, everything about them becomes increasingly uncomfortable. Their words lose their charm, their voice loses its allure, and their presence feels diminished. This is how angels operate. They gradually loosen every connection until you can breathe freely once more. You will experience this release as emotional detachment, clarity, and at times even irritation in his presence. This irritation serves as the truth speaking louder than mere politeness. To receive blessings, kindly type Amen. God has concealed you before and will do so again if necessary, shielding you from those who would leverage your destiny to mend their fractured plans. You are entering a season where heaven does not permit insincere attachments, regardless of how charming or consistent this individual appears. He lacks divine authorization to accompany you. Your name has been elevated to heavenly scrolls not for observation but for action. You were not born to be a silent prophecy awaiting study. You were destined to move mountains, not languish in shadows. This man's role in your narrative concludes at this warning, unless you choose to reopen this chapter, which heaven implores you not to do. To receive blessings, please type Amen. His intentions, if allowed to fester, will grow increasingly burdensome and dark. Currently they may simply feel invasive, but they could soon become controlling. God is interrupting this progression before it turns into possession. Many believe that spiritual warfare must be overtly violent, however it can manifest subtly, masquerading as attention, kindness, or casual check-ins. Be wary of the trap disguised as politeness. Archangel Michael advises discernment is your essential sword at this moment. You do not need to harm anyone. Merely sever the ties quietly, gracefully, and spiritually. Pray tonight to return all energy that does not rightfully belong to you. Seek God's assistance in removing any hidden hooks placed by this individual through conversation, memories, or affection. Observe how peace begins to envelop your space. To receive blessings, kindly type Amen. Your journey is sacred and every step you take is meticulously observed by the divine. Heaven has assigned angels to safeguard your timeline from interference by those seeking to derail you. While he may claim he is meant for you, what he feels is not a divine calling, it is personal obsession. There is a distinct difference, and your spirit recognizes it. You owe him neither comfort nor closure. Your only obligation is to heed God's command to protect yourself. The divine guidance is now unmistakably clear. It is time to withdraw, reclaim your space, and redefine your boundaries. He cannot accompany you on your journey. Affirm your belief by type Amen to receive blessings. 444. This phase of your life will signify a profound spiritual cleansing, not due to your own messiness but rather because someone has attempted to intrude into a domain reserved solely for the divine. It is imperative that this boundary be reinstated. You will soon experience a sense of lightness. This is not because life necessarily becomes easier, but because the burden of constant observation is being lifted by celestial forces. There will be no more confusion, no guilt, and no second-guessing your reactions. Heaven assures you that your responses are valid. You have shown great generosity with your spirit. However, moving forward, your peace must be your shield, not your source of suffering. Type Amen to receive blessings. 266. While you may never fully comprehend the extent of His watchful presence, God is acutely aware, and that alone is sufficient to close any unseen avenues He has been using to observe you. You are now shielded, enveloped and secured. Access is denied, His time of influence is over, and your liberation is unfolding. Let this chapter mark a time when your peace no longer feels the need to justify itself. Allow this to be the moment when you fundamentally reclaim your identity. Type Amen to receive blessings. 1. Archangel Michael declares, the protective scroll has already been signed. This man's spiritual influence over your path has been nullified. The divine realm is not merely observing, it is actively redirecting your journey to keep him concealed from view. You may soon notice that he seems to be fading from your life, or that his communications appear disjointed. This is not a figment of your imagination, it is the divine's intervention severing an unauthorized connection. Hidden ties are being cut. One by one he may attempt to resurface as he detects his control waning. However, this time the spiritual barrier encircling you will be more formidable, quieter and impenetrable. You might still hear his voice or see his name, but they will hold no sway over you. This illustrates how God neutralizes hazardous obsessions by diminishing their influence and silencing their presence. When the nefarious linger too long, heaven intervenes with its holy thunder cloaked in tranquility. Type Amen to receive blessings. 212. You will step into this new chapter unscathed. Although he may have intended to follow your journey as a specter, he is now blocked from entering the next phase of your destiny. He was never meant to pass through that threshold. There were nights when he infiltrated your dreams, leaving you feeling exhausted or unsettled. This was not merely psychological, it represented spiritual encroachment. His thoughts, like shadows, reached for you in the stillness. However, from this moment forward, Archangel Michael has commanded your dreams to be safeguarded. Your rest will now be protected, and your spirit will no longer reflect the fantasies of others. Heaven is enveloping you in a divine cloak, invisible to those who do not belong and radiant only to those aligned with truth and purpose. Type Amen to receive blessings. 363. A divine alert has been initiated in the spiritual realm. His obsession is being recognized as disruptive, prompting heaven to dispatch warriors of light to address it urgently. Though they may be unseen, they are close by. Any physical item he has touched or gifted to you that feels energetically burdensome should be discarded. This heaviness is not a mere illusion, it is the residue of controlling intentions. Do not hesitate, let it go. There may be locations you avoid because they remind you of him. Even if nothing negative transpired there, the atmosphere still carries traces of his energy. After today you will feel no compulsion to return. He will sense this change, not because you have communicated something but because heaven has retracted something. His access has been revoked and his spirit will wander in search of an opening that no longer exists. He may spiral into confusion or silently blame you for the newfound distance, but you owe him no explanation. Your light is not owed to him. Heaven is not asking you to justify yourself, rather it calls upon you to accept this transformation. Do not revisit this connection to alleviate any guilt. There is no guilt in your survival. Gratitude is owed for the warning conveyed. Archangel Michael declares, "You have successfully navigated the test. You recognized the peril even when it was cloaked in devotion. You discerned the facade of sweetness. Consequently, heaven has deemed you deserving of this rescue. Type Amen to receive your blessing." 606,666. You are no longer the individual you once were when he first began to observe you. You have undergone profound evolution. Your awareness has matured and your spirit has sharpened to the point of evasion. The timeline that once bore his shadow has been rewritten. He can no longer enter the realm to which you are heading. He may attempt to imitate growth, but heaven can differentiate between mere imitation and true transformation. You are now shielded by layers he cannot penetrate. Your name is enveloped in light and your journey is surrounded by clarity. He may linger in former circles, seeking a glimpse, but even your gaze is now redirected by the angels. For every thought he sends your way, his energy will return to him, experienced as silence, a door slowly yet resolutely closing. Type Amen to receive your blessing. 515. He may attempt one final gesture, be it an apology, a gift or a favor. Do not confuse this with healing. It is merely his last effort to regain access to the domain that heaven has firmly closed off. Remember this: you are not accountable for how another manages their removal from your life. Your soul is not a commodity, and your journey is not a platform for someone else's confusion. If he genuinely wished to love you, he would have sought divine permission instead of lurking in the shadows. True love respects privacy. It does not intrude. Your peace must become your foremost priority, and any feelings which provoke fear or suspicion in your heart should be dismissed unreservedly. Type Amen to receive your blessing. 737. You are about to enter a period of profound cleansing. Expect an urge to tidy up your surroundings, change your space or rearrange your room. This is your spirit responding to a divine shift. Objects hold energy, and this man has left remnants behind. However, heaven will guide you to every item, memory and energetic residue that must be released. Trust your body. If you feel discomfort when engaging with a particular item, let it go. If your breath feels constricted at the thought of him, sever that connection. Heaven values courage over comfort. God is re-establishing a presence in your life. You will experience a sense of returning home to yourself, as if for the very first time in ages. This is not mere nostalgia, it signifies restoration. Type Amen to receive your blessing. 131. You will begin to dream once more, but this time of elevated realms, no longer feeling surveilled but rather guided. You will walk with power, and those who gaze upon you will perceive glory, not opportunity. This man's time within your narrative has conclusively ended. He may linger in the background, yet his hands can no longer touch your light. His vision will grow dim concerning your path. Allow this realization to bring you peace and closure, not as a message sent but as one received from the heavens. The angels have positioned a sword between your destiny and his obsession, and this sword will remain unyielding. Type Amen to receive your blessing. 919. Archangel Michael proclaims, your spirit was never intended to be monitored, it was destined to soar. Henceforth you will, from this moment onward you walk alongside heaven's highest sentinels. The observers have been repelled and the manipulator has been revealed. You are free. No man, regardless of how intently he may have gazed into your world, can strip this freedom from you. Final blessing. Type Amen to receive your blessing. 1010